Hello there and welcome back to yet another review. Today we're going to be having more of a delve into this Shaw Brothers Blu-ray box set released by Arrow Video. Going to be having a look at the Shaolin Temple today, made in I think around 1976-75 time, I believe, and directed by Chang Cheh. The film works as a sort of a prequel to Five Shaolin Masters, and we get some nice ensemble cast here in the movie, like from Ti Lung, David Chiang, Alexander Fu Sheng, and even get two members of the Venom Mob here making an appearance in Philip Kwok and Lu Feng. Chang Cheh directed several Shaolin type themed movies like Heroes 2, Men from the Monastery was another one, Shaolin Martial Arts. The film works more as of these students that go to a Shaolin learn how to become a better person, not just a better fighter who learns more kung fu. The Wing Chun system is involved in this movie. David Chiang using his chain whip, some great acrobatics from Philip Kwok, and as always Wang Long Wei as one of our antagonists. As I say, that guy seems to be cropping up a lot in some of the reviews I give. Johnny Wang, as he's otherwise known as, he's just been in so many movies, and here is no exception. So as mentioned, it can be seen as sort of a prequel to Five Shaolin Masters, and it starts largely the same cast, really shows sort of what happened before Five Shaolin Masters began. As I say, it's interesting that the two films are very much sort of connected in a sense. Like in this Blu-ray box set, they're on the same disc as well. So the two films are very similar in nature in regards to theme, the cast, and it's almost, like I say, works as a prequel. So largely sound, it really shows sort of what happened before that film began. I believe this was the first film that Chang Cheh made without Liu Kao Lung working as his fight choreographer. Chang did have his criticisms, even from Lau himself, saying not all these films are authentic, and others said he lacks knowledge of the traditions of South China. But that aside, that doesn't mean he didn't make entertaining movies, because Lau Chia Leng was that's how he started out. He was Chang Cheh's sort of fight choreographer before obviously going on to direct some amazing Shaw Brothers classics in his own right. But I think this was sort of the first film that made without him, if I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So the film starts with some very atmospheric thunder around the Shaolin Temple and the monks chatting about three men who are waiting outside, much like in sort of if you remember my 18 Bronzeman return of the 18 Bronzeman review. The idea was you knelt down outside the temple and you just waited and hoped that you would be accepted, that they would welcome you in so you could learn Shaolin and be taught the ways of what you want to learn. We learn they have been there for 5 days. The whole idea is they aren't meant to teach outsiders, but surely everyone at some point is an outsider unless they're a member of Shaolin. So like surely everybody who joins the temple must have been an outsider at some point. But their rule is they don't teach outsiders. What is interesting here is we meet the monks first before the men outside and have no idea of their background, why they are there. It's not like we've seen what's happened and they're just at the Shaolin Temple. They go to the Shaolin Temple for training. They're just there waiting to be accepted and let in. One of the guys outside being Fu Shang, another being Chi Quan Chun. The abbot at this point is in his chamber. Martial arts are forbidden by the temple into some, they're sort of forbidden by the the abbot agrees to take them in, even though the others are worried that will just turn the temple into some sort of haven for all the rebels. This is what they're worried about. So we then meet David Chiang, Ti Lung and Wang Long Wei, survivors of an army who were told to go to Shaolin. Fu Sheng is put on cooking duties and stoking the fires. More people at this point start kneeling outside, wanting to be let into that temple. And like I mentioned, it's that idea of just waiting, wanting to be accepted, being let in, and it is showing the whole idea is when they did that, students was to show their willpower, to show that they are willing and determined and willing to accept the training that Shaolin can offer them. The monks even have a test by bringing rice out at this point so they can eat, and if they do sort of eat, they get sent home. It's sort of to test their character and their willpower. So Chi Quan Chun is a lot more advanced in kung fu, even though they arrived together like with Fu Shang at the start. I thought they all sort of knew each other. But they turns out they don't. So a monk shows Fu Shang how to sort of split apart wood with just one hand using tiger style. So what is interesting here is that there's no lead as such. I mean, we have different groups of people turning up to the temple, and there's not really one solid lead. There's not like exactly one main character that is sort of carrying the film. I mean, you could argue maybe Fu Shang is, but you've also got David Chang here. You've also got Chi Kwon-chun here. You've also got Philip Kwok here. It's a very much an ensemble film, very very much like how Five Shaolin Masters was. It's not really sort of there's one guy, that's your lead character. This is very much sort of just wide cast here. So to say, that's what's interesting about this. So we have three groups of people going in. We have the people outside, we have T Lung's crew, and then we have the three that got let in at the start of the movie. So they get let in one being Philip Kwok gets let in, who is told to put weights on his legs and made to jump over and over. Another one tasked with like sort of drawing the scriptures over loads of big spikes that he has to walk on as well, even getting his holes in his shoes because of it. But Philip Kwok, his training just largely consists of just jumping. With weights on. That's his whole training. They just put weights on his legs and he just has to just jump. Like I say, you don't really know who to focus on here and follow, as every one of these people that's been let into the temple is going at a different pace and has different skill set, which makes the film quite interesting because they're all learning different things, and some of them are more accomplished than others. Like I mentioned, Chi Kwon-chun he's quite good at picking things up. Fu Shang not so much, and that's like I said, they're all going at different paces, which is what keeps the film, because you don't get bored focusing on one character in particular. The film moves around a bit between who's involved. The notion that I say they're all different. Like I say, Chi Kwon-chun is just nailing everything. Fu Shang and Wei Long Wei get into a fight and Fu Shang just can't beat him. I'm not sure why the monks would just let two pupils inside the temple to have regular fights, because they keep sort of fighting on a regular basis because Fu Shang can't beat him. He's like, I'll beat him next time. But the monks, for whatever reason, I don't know if they have no knowledge of this, but if they do, they're more than happy to let them carry on just having a little scuffle like every couple of weeks, just seeing if Fu Shang can better him. I say he's just nailing everything. Chi Kwon-chun. Fu Shang just wants to get better. Philip Kwok is getting better and better with his jumping, and even given more weights. Funny scene where he comes round the corner at one point after being all coppy, and it's almost if I don't know if any of you out there know the Steptoe and Son theme music, a British sitcom that was shown back in the 60s and 70s. It's very akin to sort of that type of music. As he comes round the corner. So a senior monk sneaks out and informs the enemy about all the new students, Lu Fang being one of them. They want to eliminate Shaolin as they view them as a threat. T Lung ends up being taught Wing Chun by Sister Wu Mei. Fu Shang starts learning from this masked pupil at night, even though he has no idea who he is, and learns tiger and crane styles, and finally beats Wang Long Wei. In the end, he actually beats Johnny Wang. So there's a lot going on in this movie. There is a lot going on, and that's what held my attention throughout the film. It doesn't get boring because you're not just following one person from the start of the film to the end. You are jetting around in this movie, and I say there's a wide range of characters and a wide range of very talented kung fu performers in this movie, which does hold your interest. So the monks intervene after Fu Shang beats Wang Long Wei, and why so rough, even though it is mentioned in the dialogue they've been having a fight every month. So the renegade monk takes on Wang Long Wei to help him and the forces, and disaster is coming, and knows that Qing's may attack. Worth mentioning, this is like the most friendliest, nicest abbot you will ever see in a kung fu movie. Usually the abbots at the temples and the Shaolin, they're always quite uptight and quite firm, and quite sort of regimented. The abbot in this movie is so chilled. Like, he is very much, he's just the most friendliest abbot you will ever see. Like I say, usually abbots are very standoffish. They're quite cold-hearted to their pupils, especially if the training's not going well, and that's the demographic that's portrayed. But here, the abbot is super friendly. Like, he is super chilled. So, like, working together in the kitchen and cooking, you're using, like, when in the kitchen you're using the bow staff, which one of the students does. Fu Shang and Chi Kwon-chun want to leave, even though they wanted to get in. What's so odd is they wanted to get in so badly, and then they want to leave so badly. Like, they were so determined to get into the temple, and then all of a sudden they just want to up sticks and leave. Like, they just want to get out of there. They have to go and fight the Wooden Men, which is something that's referenced obviously in Shaolin Wooden Men. You could argue that even 18 Bronzemen, Joseph Kwo is sort of a play on that as well. But the Shaolin Wooden Men are always sort of referenced if there's a sort of a Shaolin theme going on there, or even like shown or even just mentioned in name. They go for the Wooden Men, I say, very much like Jackie Chan's movie, but just done just with a bit of a different spin on it here compared to Jackie Chan's version. They are more like, in this film, they're more like super fast spinning dummies, whereas sort of the Jackie Chan Shaolin Wooden Men or Shaolin Chamber of Death, they're very like this, obviously guys just in these sort of wooden suits, but here they're just sort of like rotating wooden dummies. Just a bit different. It's mentioned they both need revenge, but don't think it's mentioned on who or why. That's what's so interesting, as I mentioned at the start. They want to get into the temple, and obviously it's the whole thing of the Manchus, or somebody wants to completely annihilate the temple, you know. But it's never really explained sort of what they want to get revenge for. Not openly anyway. It's not you're not really 100% sure. That you just know there's injustice happening and they need to get revenge. The renegade monk doesn't want them to leave, of course. They would be a threat to the Manchus. Wang Lang Wei and others tasked with apprehending them. One of the monks helps Chi Kuan Chen escape through a tunnel. So after getting out, Ti Lung, David Chang and some others are all given solitary confinement for helping them escape, which is kind of pointless as they have to go in, and within like the next couple of shots they are all out again. It doesn't add much to the movie, because they help these people escape and they're all given solitary confinement. And you think, oh, this might lead to something. But within like the 2 shots, they're out. So it doesn't go anywhere, the idea of them being in confinement. Which I say is kind of pointless. We're led to believe, though, that 3 months has passed at this point. All this time, Philip Kwok is still jumping. Philip Kwok is still jumping this whole time. He is still trying to get his height mastered, and that's what he's aiming to sort of get better at. And he can now jump like super high, right? He can absolutely fly now, Philip Kwok. So the renegade monks meets the Manchus and told they are going to storm the temple, and he will even poison the well to slow them down. David Chang spots this and informs his brothers. I will say, like with all Shaw Brothers movies, and it's something I'll probably mention in every Shaw Brothers movie I review, the colour in this is absolutely amazing. It's got that wonderful Shaw Brothers colour, that vibrant colour that really does shine through when you're watching it, especially in the HD Blu-ray release that I've got here. So outside, Fu Shang and Chi Kuan Chen spot 4,000 Manchus and head back to the temple to inform them, even though they only just got out. I'm guessing to show they never forget their loyalties. So they went in, they wanted to get out, and then they've gone back in again. So the abbot basically says we don't stand a chance. I mean, like I say, he's such a friendly abbot, but he's so defeatist at the same time. He's so like, well, game's over, that's it. This abbot, like I say, he's almost, like I say, where he's too friendly. He just gives up. He's like, well, we don't stand a chance. Very defeatist, wants all his pupils to get out and spread Shaolin teachings. Of course, not before a royal rumble breaks out. We have Lu Feng here, mercilessly killing monks with his twin swords. They learn of the traitor, even a moment where 5 monks are all lined up in a row and all get stabbed with spears. I don't think it's ever made clear who the masked guy was teaching Fu Shang earlier, but I guess we can assume it was Chi Kuan Chen. I can assume that's who it was, unless anybody knows different. If you've seen this movie, who the masked guy was teaching Fu Shang, I believe it may have been Chi Kuan Chen. Don't think the monk poisoned us. When the monk poisons the well, I don't think that served much purpose either in regards to the plot. Reminds me as well of Snake and Crane Arts of Shaolin, with the whole water poisoning thing, trying to kill all the masters of the temple. But I don't think the poisoning the well has any plot impact whatsoever. I don't think the poisoning, I mean, David Chang spots him sort of poisoning it, but I don't think it sort of has any impact on any characters or does any effect on the plot whatsoever, which is a bit strange. So the abbot just walks off into the temple with other monks. Philip Kwok showing off his amazing acrobatic skills during the finale. We have 3 students even killing themselves when they're faced with loads of archers. The film isn't short either. I mean, it's like around 2 hours long. It's another sort of, if you imagine like in my Boxer from Shantung review, this film is quite, it's not a 90-minute in and out kung fu movie. This film is quite long in length. Lots of the classic kung fu movie traits of so many. Manchu soldiers standing around in the background doing nothing when a fight's happening. You've got the classic, something that was rectified and by people like Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan. But you get the, like, when a fight scene's happening, you are getting a lot of people just standing around in the background killing time. Which was very common. What is great about the ending is everyone gets their moment to shine, especially as the film was more of an ensemble piece, as I mentioned earlier. Everybody does get to show sort of something they can do, or their little moment to sort of shine on camera. One point, Philip Watts saying to his fellow Venom Lu Fang, "How much do you weigh?" And he just launches them both into the Manchu spears, killing. He's like, "How much do you weigh?" And he just picks them up. And they just, because he can jump really high, and to get better of him, he just launches them both into these spears. We see the abbot praying and going down with the temple, which is now on fire, and that sort of picks up. That's where sort of you could argue that's where Five Shaolin Masters begins. One of the movies that is worth watching just for the ending alone. I mean, there's very common in a lot of movies as well where it is just worth watching for the ending alone, and Shaolin Temple is no exception. It's a great ending, and the film it's one of these kung fu movies that you can sit down and take your time with. It's not, like I say, a rushed in and out kung fu movie. This is Shang-Chi very much taking his time, having fun with the cast he's got. Worth watching, like I say, just with a great cast. Watch for Chi Kwang Cho and Bruce Lee breaking a guy's necks by like having both hands around it and like pulling it downwards as well. Again, that's another one of these moments where it is blink and you miss it, but it's just something that I always remember when I watch this movie. He just sort of grabs his neck, just sort of pulls it down, and he just completely breaks it. The people, like I said, they escape. Fu Sheng, etc., all played to teach others and to defeat the Manchus. Real nice cinematic ending shot of the temple collapsing as well, which sort of paves the way for sort of Five Shaolin Masters, as I mentioned. So even in them days, I mean, even Shang-Chi here, 76, 75, doing prequels, sort of long before George Lucas made the prequel thing fashionable. Here, like, this was a prequel. This was like, well, I've done Five Shaolin Masters. Let's see what can happen before. I think they were roughly made around the same time. I say, for by all means, correct me if I'm wrong. More than likely, maybe. But as I've said, I think Five Shaolin Masters was made before, and then I think Shaolin Temple followed. But that's how I understood it anyway. But yeah, one of these films that just watch and take your time with it. It's very much a builder of a kung fu movie, and it's not a film that's rushed. It's not like there's a massive revenge arc going on. It is the whole Manchus versus Shaolin debate. But you get a great cast here. You get some great scenes, and the film is very much, like I say, a slow build, but it's definitely worth watching. And if you've never seen this or Five Shaolin Masters, maybe watch Five Shaolin Masters first. I think out of the two, I would probably prefer this one. I think the Shaolin Temple is a bit more of an accomplished effort. I think Five Shaolin Masters just misses the target a little bit, unfortunately. But it's still a great film, as I mentioned in my review. But Shaolin Temple is a little bit more of an accomplished work from Shang-Chi. So please go and check it out. I will try and get through all the movies on the Shaw Brothers Blu-ray box set, and then of course I've got to do the Shaw Brothers Volume 2 box set. But if you've not seen Shaolin Temple, please go and check it out. If you have seen it, let me know your thoughts on it. If it's one of your favourites, if you don't like it, do like it, whatever. So thanks you very much indeed for watching, if I can talk properly, and I'll see you again soon.